Next, a woman who wouldn't let her disability stop her from launching a unique car company.
I know that I'm going to be helping ultimately millions of people on this planet that are frustrated just like I am.
For Stacy Zorn, who suffers from muscular atrophy, wheels have long been a necessary part of her life. Today, wheels are a passion that fills nearly every waking moment. Her product, the tiny Kangaroo, is the only car in the world built from the ground up for wheelchair-bound drivers, people for whom traditional adapted vehicles aren't viable. Zorn understands as well as any of her customers that it isn't just a car, it's liberation. And it's that personal connection to her product that motivated her extraordinary effort to get it into production. The prototype for the Kangaroo might be sitting in a Hungarian warehouse collecting dust if Zorn hadn't discovered it online in 2010, when she was working as a patent lawyer at a large law firm.
I knew this was perfect because it's a low-speed vehicle. You know, it's purpose-built for people in wheelchairs. You just enter the car and go. And I knew it would change my life, so I wanted to buy one immediately.
But when she called the company to order one, she was told by its president, Istvan Kazaroslaki, that the car had not advanced beyond the prototype phase. Anticipated funding had evaporated when the worldwide recession hit. She was told to call back in 4 years.
I wasn't satisfied with that response. So when I called back about 4 days later and I asked how much money do you need to get this on the market, he said probably about $3 million. But you know, he was kind of laughing because I was like this crazy lady in Texas that didn't have $3 million and was sure that I could help.
But raising money wasn't as easy as the aspiring entrepreneur thought it would be. Banks just turned her away.
I soon realized that I would need to approach individual investors, and so I went to people that I knew, friends and family first, and got some people excited about the project.
Finally, a check from an angel investor gave the venture a much-needed lift.
The first check was for $100,000. And I remember getting that check and walking it to the bank, and I'd never carried that much money, and I was terrified, but very excited, obviously, because it meant that this was happening and it was becoming a reality.
Zorn incorporated Community Cars in June of 2010, and Kazaroslaki joined her at her Pflugerville plant. They were on their way, but after clearing that first big hurdle, they ran smack into a wall. The car had been designed using metric measurements, but metric steel was too costly to source in the U.S., so all the measurements had to be converted to U.S. standards. Easy, right?
It's not. It's actually extremely complicated because, you know, your tolerances are so small and the measurements don't match exactly. And so that was a huge, huge project that set us back several months.
In addition, changing to standard measurements caused some unanticipated issues when it came to assembly, creating further costly delays and taking the young venture to the brink financially.
We've had as low as $7 in our checking account at points. I mean, it's scary. You've got 10 employees that are depending on you. There's not enough money. I don't take a salary. I've personally put all my financial and my whole life into this project, as has my business partner.
But Zorn hung in there, attributing her mental toughness to her lifelong struggle to simply get through a day.
I depend on people for everything. Everything I do is difficult every day. So, you know, I have to have assistance even getting out of bed in the morning and getting ready for work. So when you have that your whole life, you don't get discouraged as easily, I think. You learn to adapt and to persevere.
That tenacity paid off. Funding continued to roll in, and they began to fill orders for their first model, the B1 Kangaroo. All electric, the car sells for around $20,000 and can travel 60 miles on an overnight charge. With a top speed of 25 miles per hour, the maximum federal law allows, it's designed for routine errands close to home, hence the name Community Cars. While it's about as costly as a standard car, it offers a big advantage to people who use manual wheelchairs.
They can drive regular cars with some modifications, but what's difficult is they have to actually transfer themselves into the vehicle. And then they have to collapse the wheelchair and drag in the wheelchair into the car with them. So this is not only extremely time consuming, which is hard when it's raining or when it's cold, but also, you know, over a lifetime, it's really hard on the shoulder to be transferring yourself, your entire body weight, over and over and over again. So this is a great alternative for people in manual wheelchairs that want to run 3 errands on a Saturday and want to save their shoulders because, you know, they're not going a long distance. It's just a lot easier to hop in the Kangaroo. It's almost like a moped for someone that's in a wheelchair.
Right now, to get that kind of convenience, people have to opt for a wheelchair van, which can run $45,000 to $50,000.
Our next model that we're working on now, which is the model that I need to drive, will be for power wheelchairs, and it'll be driven by a joystick, so you'll need very little strength in order to operate it. And that is going to be a life changer for people in power wheelchairs.
Today, the only option is to spend around $100,000 for a specially modified van, like the one Zorn had as a young woman.
It's extremely costly, and this vehicle, even at the joystick model, we're hoping to keep the price point around $30,000. So it's actually something that's going to be affordable for people that before didn't have an option.
It looks like Community Cars is going to be around long enough for that car to become a reality, because after 2 years of sometimes hanging on by their fingernails, their gamble paid off. They raised the $3 million they needed and now have a deal with the manufacturer in Florida to initially crank out 500 units a year.
And then within 5 years, our conservative projection, we would like to be selling 4,000. I have a feeling that it's going to be a lot more than that. There's 50 million people in the world that use wheelchairs, so 4,000 is a very, very, very small percentage of that number.
For Zorn, who had envisioned being a lawyer, not an entrepreneur, the achievement is gratifying.
Community Cars is fulfilling a dream for me because not only am I helping myself to get a vehicle that I can be independent in, but also just to be doing something so meaningful that I know that I'm going to be helping ultimately millions of people on this planet that are frustrated just like I am. It brings a lot of meaning to my life.